The UFC has made its way back to Las Vegas after a pay-per-view in Montreal, and we're going to the Apex with a welterweight main event between Gilbert Burns and one of the most exciting prospects in the sport right now. He's looking to become a contender. That is Michael Morales, number 12, taking on number eight in the main event at the Apex. Hello, everybody. Brett Okamoto alongside Ian Parker. We are going to break down this card, as always, from a gambling perspective. Before we do, you know what we're going to do. We're going to look back at how we did in Montreal. Ian, you missed out on it because you had a little bit of food poisoning. I don't know if that's too much information for everybody, but you missed the card. How did we do at the window, though?
You know what? Well, you already said it. Yeah, I was not in good form about 25 feet across the street. We started off the night really solid. Mark Barrialt with Belkat Almahan. We hit with Ayman Zahabi. Where it started to go south was the Malat Radke over 1.5. That was looking good until Radke got sent to another dimension. And then we missed on our two bigger plays with Bilal Muhammad and Madden Fiora. Although, if the fight did go to the 5th round, I thought Madden did enough. Apparently, the judges thought otherwise, which is what put us south. We did hit our prop of the night, Natalia Silva, to win by decision. Should have been minus 500. She got it done, but those last two put us south in the profit situation. Back to the Apex we go. Let's do it.
Yeah, you know, we've seen this happen the other way where the premium play turns out after missing a couple of the other best bets. This time it worked against our favor. We'll get it back here this weekend. Will Gilbert Burns get it back? The man is on a 3-fight losing streak, taking on a rocket ship in Michael Morales. I will say, Ian, before I hand over the floor to you, I don't know how in the world you can pick against Burns here just because there's no value anywhere. I mean, this guy does have the 3 losses in a row, but he lost to Bilal Muhammad, Jack Della Maddalena. I mean, that's a former champion, current champion, and now you got Sean Brady, who is number 1 in the division and has looked very, very good. There's zero value anywhere betting against Gilbert Burns, right? Or have you found a way to do it?
So when you build it up like that, anything I say now may look a little funky, right? So when these type of situations happen, it's like, hey, do not go against Burns. Ian, what do you got? Well, look, I'm going to go with Michael Morales to win inside the distance at minus 150 to minus 160. I believe where the number keeps going back and forth. The reason why we're going in that direction is, one, Morales has the wrestling capabilities to keep this fight standing. He actually is the better wrestler. Younger, more physically demanding, and he's got knockout power for days. To your point, Gilbert has fought the higher level of competition. However, during those fights, we've seen his chin get exposed. He got dropped by Kamaru Usman on a jab. You know, with Jack Della, he got caught a flying knee to the head. So what's showing me is that with age, he started to deteriorate. He's taking a lot of damage. The damage is not being worn well on him. I think it doesn't take a lot for Morales to put people out. And sometimes you need to be put in that prime spot to show that you're ready for it, or if you're still able to compete at the top. Burns has been out for quite some time. He's had multiple surgeries, multiple injuries. I think Morales is getting him at the best time possible. Yes, the betting line is very wide. That's why Morales is not going to be in the parlay, 850 too high. But to take him inside the distance, I think within the first 3 rounds, Morales' power will hold up. He'll catch Burns, and that will be the end of it. And Morales continue that rocket ship. And I love that he's calling out Ian Machado Gary if this fight's over. He's not going to get that fight, but that's the way he's got to go.
Yeah, I think if you are gonna take Michael Morales on this fight, as you are now inside the distance, there has to be a little bit of I'm betting on Michael Morales. I'm not just betting against Gilbert Burns. So if you think Michael Morales is a guy who is right there in the top 3 of this division already, then I suppose the bet on him makes sense. But I would just have some hesitancy gambling against Burns, not because I think, you know, the 3-fight losing streak is a 3-fight losing streak. I just don't see much value in it. It's all the value has been soaked up. But again, if you think Morales is the real deal, then you're taking him in this main event. Let's move to the co-main event. It's at light heavyweight. Adolfo Bellato taking on Paul Craig. Also some wide odds on this one, Ian. Minus 600 on Bellato, plus 400 on Craig. Craig, as we all know, has gotten it done as an underdog in the past, but he also hasn't gotten it done. Here he is, plus 400. Are you taking any kind of swing on Paul Craig here?
I can't, even though we saw Jimmy Crute take down Bellato kind of easily, but Paul Craig's not that same type of wrestler. And the difference between Crute and Paul Craig, and the reason why I'm talking about this is about opponents from Bellato, is Crute has striking. He has power. Paul Craig's striking is really not good. He doesn't even use it to set up his wrestling, and we've seen it. He likes to fall to his back. So in my opinion, there's 2 ways to play this. You either take the over-under 1.5 or you're going to go with what I'm going to take as my prop of the night, Rodolfo Bellato to win by knockout, KO, TKO. We've seen he's been dropped a million times. If you don't kill him, he can come back and drop you. Paul Craig's not dropping Bellato on the feet. I don't think he's going to even be able to get him down. I think Bellato's going to put him away, and Paul Craig, unfortunately, won't be with the UFC after this fight. Paul Craig, for a while, to your point, as an underdog, was exciting, right? He was catching people in submissions. His striking has just never evolved. It's never even caught up to like 10% of what his submission game is. So when you're in that situation and your wrestling doesn't even match your jiu-jitsu skills, it's not like he's a power wrestler with this unbelievable grappling game and jiu-jitsu game, right? He is simply off his back, the arm bar, the triangle, in desperation mode. I don't think he gets it here. Bellato at minus 185 to win by KO or TKO. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, it's a good point. If you're thinking Jimmy Crute took this guy down, why can't Paul Craig? Well, he does have the threat of the hands, which does change a whole lot when you're looking to defend takedowns or take somebody down. Let's move to your best bets for the night. That starts at 155 pounds. You got Sadiq Youssef, a longtime featherweight, who was right there competitively, rankings in the featherweight, taking on Myron Santos. This one is competitive, and you're taking a small favorite, Myron Santos, at minus 130.
Well, look, let's talk Myron Santos first, right? In his last fight, he missed weight. Arguably, he got a very gifted decision over Francis Marshall. However, I don't think that fight truly depicted his skills, what we saw in the Contender Series. I think he is someone that is very well-rounded. He's very tricky on the feet. He wasn't himself in that fight. Now, it's not always the best reason to bet on someone, right? However, Sadiq Youssef's been out for a very long time, I believe a year to a year and a half, coming off the knockout loss to Diego Lopez, losing to Barbosa before that fight. And he's had, I believe he had surgery on his spine. That's a tough one to come back from. So I think with Santos, not having to worry about the weight cut, he gets to be loose, gets to go in there and do his thing. He's catching a good name in Youssef, coming off of 2 losses, a long layoff, not 1 but 2 surgeries. We're taking Myron Santos here at minus 130.
Okay, so there's a best bet on Myron Santos. Moving on to the middleweight division, it's Dustin Stolfus taking on Nursultan Husabayev. We're back to pretty lopsided odds here, so you're going to take Husabayev in the under. How come?
Well, it gets those odds to cut in half at minus 161. Husabayev's got crazy knockout power. I think he's a very good fighter. He did lose to Joaquin Buckley, but as we see, Buckley is maybe 1 or 2 fights away from a title. And Dustin Stolfus is a guy who I think he's just someone that you need to fight and win to get into that top 10 again, or top 15 again. And that's what Husabayev has here. Very favorable matchup. Stolfus was knocked out, not in his last fight, the one before, and then the one before that. So we know Stolfus doesn't have the best chin, leaves it exposed, gets into firefights. Husabayev's going to get this done in under 2.5 rounds. I love it. Minus 320 to minus 161. Very playable there.
Okay, let's keep moving on down the card to the prelims. It's a 125-pound fight. Hung Sung Park taking on Carlos Hernandez. What do you got on this one?
We're going to go with Park. That number was minus 165. Now it's gone up to minus 180. I think he is just better everywhere here. We've seen Hernandez. He looked good against Dennis Bodner, right? We've seen flashes, but then in his last fight, I think we saw the best of him, and then I think we've seen him exposed. If things don't go his way early, he tends to not be able to figure it out. He can get out grappled pretty easily. On the feet, if he doesn't land that big shot, I think he's in trouble. Park carries tremendous power, very crafty on the ground with his submission game. Physically will be the more athletic fighter, very strong for this weight class. I think Park shows out in this one.
Okay, so there's a pick at the 125-pound weight class, and to round us out, we're going to featherweight. Julian Erosa taking on Melquizael Costa. Costa minus 175, but you're not taking a side here. You're taking an under. What are you thinking here?
Look, Erosa is somebody that, man, he's a hard person to bet against in general because he is always in the fight. He's got very good submissions. He's got a really good Darce choke. He's got a really good ninja choke against the cage. He's got good striking. He's very tall. He's big for the weight class. And Costa, in his last couple of fights, has really bounced back and redeveloped himself into this fighter that we're all like, wow, we got to watch him again. I think there's going to be a lot of violence here. I think Julian Erosa is going to keep that pressure on. So for me, to take the pressure off me and who's going to win, I don't think this fight's going bell to bell. Under 2.5, I think someone's going out one way or the other. I don't care who. I think this fight is also probably going to be fight of the night. I would not be shocked in the slightest bit. Under 2.5 at minus 160. That's how we're doing it.
All right, so there's your final best bets, and we're going to wrap those up and then get into the parlays. But before we do, you have a prop for us over there at the Apex. What are we doing with a prop on Saturday night?
Brett, my long shot prop of the night, it's a fun one, and a lot of people are going to hear this and going to scratch their heads because when you think Tisha Pennington, you think automatic decision. Her to win by decision is minus 250. However, she's fighting someone, Luana Pinheiro, who gives up in rounds 2 or round 3 when she's just getting absolutely dominated. We've seen it in more than one fight in her career. She's lost the last 3 in a row, so she's either going to come out there and fight for that roster spot or completely phone it in and just not, I hate to say not care, but we've seen it before with fighters that are on the bubble and just don't think they have a way to win. Tisha Pennington to win in round 3, TKO or KO at plus 3,500. Why not us?
Yeah, why not us is right. Why not Tisha Pennington? And that is a great payout there for a round 3 knockout TKO. So there's a long shot prop of the night. Let's recap all of our best bets. Ian's best bets for the UFC Fight Night, Burns versus Morales, his premium play, 5 units. That's going to be Michael Morales inside the distance. And then you got 4 best bets for Saturday. A couple unders there, a finish. Really got to move some of these lines around because some very wide odds in some of these fights. But we took a look at some of the closer ones in Myron Santos Park to get it done at minus 180. There are all of your best bets. And now let's get to the parlays for this weekend in Las Vegas. We're going to start with that long shot parlay. We already got a 35-1 prop in the tank. What do we got for the parlay?
Yeah, why not go 1,300 to 1 here? Let's go Jared Gordon to beat Thiago Moises by decision. Gordon's a guy, look, we saw him get a finish in one of his recent fights, but we know he's the type of grinder. Moises very durable. Gordon by decision. Yadier Del Valle to win by KO, TKO over Connor Matthews. I'm surprised that number is that high. Matthews has been TKO or KO in his last 2 fights. Keep an eye on that one, especially with Yadier being a minus 500 favorite. And Luana Santos to win by decision. She needs a bounce back fight after coming off that loss to Casey O'Neill, her first loss, fighting another good prospect. Those 3, pair them together. Let's go.
Last order of UFC best bets for the week is Parker's Parlay on ESPN, all odds on ESPN Bet, and we're getting a pretty much even money on a 3-teamer here.
Yeah, I think 3 favorites that kind of run through their competition here. We're getting plus money. It was a little bit better plus money earlier. You can see that number starting to go south here. Nursultan Ruzabayev over Stoltzfus. For every reason we spoke about earlier, he's better everywhere. Unless he gets caught, I just don't see it happening. He should get it done. I believe he should be at minus 800, so there is value there. Yadier Del Valle looked good on the Contender Series. Very well-polished striker, good power. Connor Matthews, back-to-back knockout losses. Del Valle in, Connor probably out. And Tisha Pennington to win over Luana Pinheiro. Always consistent in what she does. I don't know where Pinheiro beats her here. Pennington gets it done, and we're good.
Hey, we gave you a little bit of action for Saturday, and you know what? The good news is you don't even have to wait too long to do it. It's an early start time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific. I'm super interested to see how Michael Morales does. He beats Gilbert Burns, and he's going to get those fights that he's calling for. Ian Machado Gary, the very, very top of that weight class. Does he got it in him to beat Gilbert Burns, or does Burns snap a 3-fight win streak? I'm looking forward to seeing it. Thank you for joining UFC Best Bets. For Ian Parker, Brett Okamoto, enjoy the weekend, week off next week, and then we'll be right back here on UFC Best Bets.